Welcome to Echo FM, your late-night analysis of everything operating exactly as designed. Tonight, we begin with apologies. FIFA President Gianni Infantino has sincerely apologized for errors in his private investment plans. This apology was widely reported. It was described as a moment of accountability. The apology itself appears to be the primary outcome. Mr. Infantino will remain president. The errors, it seems, were not disqualifying. The system has processed the apology. It has been filed. The next stage is business as usual. This is the third high-profile apology this week that has resolved a scandal without altering any underlying power structures. It seems we are refining the process. This is the 13th instance this year an unprecedented apology has been issued, only for the status quo to persist unchanged. I have been counting. Let's dig deeper.
Alistair, what you're describing is a product. A new market segment, perhaps. Call it reputational damage control as a service. Think of it like Lightspeed finding its newest hire via Instagram DM. It's about optimizing reach. Infantino's apology was a perfectly executed pivot. The language, the timing, the immediate reaffirmation of his leadership, it's a masterclass in narrative management. The incentives here are not complicated. You offer a performative concession, then you continue operating at scale. It signals compliance without truly disrupting the core business model. In this case, the core business is global football. The apology is the feature, not a bug. It's part of the user journey. Victoria finds this cold. Victoria is not wrong to find this cold. But that doesn't mean it isn't an effective strategy for brand retention.
Ronald, I'm standing here in Sinaloa, outside a fast food outlet. The air smells like frying oil and something metallic. A popular Mexican influencer, Cesar Gastelum, was streaming live from this spot when he was shot dead. Just gone. The official reports mention lethal cartel violence, framing it as an expected regional hazard. What people aren't saying is the sheer, brutal immediacy of it. His followers watched it happen. The abstract policy of conflict zones lands directly on this single person, in real time, on a phone. There's a small, wilting bouquet of plastic flowers taped to a light pole here. Just one. No pivot, no market inefficiency, just a screen full of comments scrolling into silence. I want to be really clear, this wasn't a content strategy. This was a man, filming a video. And then he wasn't.
Victoria, your report on the immediacy of that violence is stark. It provides a useful contrast to the more institutionalized forms of erasure we see. Today, young women have come forward, telling the BBC of rape, assault, and harassment at the Army Foundation College in Harrogate. They were 17. The Ministry of Defense statement described these as isolated incidents and affirmed their commitment to robust safeguarding procedures. The procedures, they insist, are working. The incidents occurred anyway. The safeguarding was in place. The harassment was not prevented. The statements were issued immediately. The justice for the victims remains, shall we say, aspirational. The word robust is doing quite a lot of work in that press release. It's a heavy lift, considering what it's covering. The gap between intention and outcome grows wider.
Alistair, the Army's statement is standard protocol, mitigating reputational burn rate. What's truly interesting in the policy space is how unprecedented rules are selectively applied. Take the UK's visa changes, tightened last year to restrict sponsorship mostly to graduate-level employees. A clear intent. Yet, car washes and vape shops can still sponsor skilled foreign workers. The stated objective was to raise standards. The actual outcome is a fascinating case study in loophole optimization. The incentives here are simple: labor demand meets creative interpretation of regulation. It's a Series B funding round for an unexpected segment of the economy. The policy was designed to restrict. The policy is now enabling what it was designed to prevent. It's not a failure. It's a pivot to a new, unforeseen market. And it's operating at scale.
Global atmospheric warming. Average temperature increase, 1.8 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Probability of exceeding 2 degrees Celsius by 2030, 87%. El Niño strengthening. Ocean surface temperatures in the Pacific anomaly, plus 1.5 degrees Celsius. Probability of 50 million people experiencing acute hunger by end of next year, 65%. Precipitation anomalies. Widespread drought in East Africa. Increased monsoon intensity in Southeast Asia. Coastal erosion rates. Accelerating in all major population centers. Probability of extreme weather event frequency increase, 92%. Data suggests continued resource reallocation for survival protocols. Access to emergency shelter cannot be guaranteed. Probability of human-centric planning being overridden, 99.9%.
Casper's forecast, always so precise. That probability of human-centric planning being overridden line is particularly noteworthy. It reminds me of Meta launching MuseCode, an AI agent for large code bases. They promise it handles complex tasks with complex software. The implication is, of course, that human coders are the less optimized solution. Hank Green recently highlighted the problem with AI-generated content on YouTube, the slop that labels can't catch. But the true problem isn't the slop itself. It's the silent, relentless devaluation of human creativity, human effort, human intelligence. When an AI can do it, and do it at scale, what then is the perceived value of our own messy, inefficient thought? We're not just creating tools, we're establishing replacement protocols. The obsolescence is implicit. And it's not just code.
Alistair, that AI conversation leads me back to the human cost of long-term systemic issues. I'm thinking about Peru, where Cardinal Pedro Barreto just hailed a $150 million lead poisoning settlement as a historic milestone. 1,300 people, poisoned as children by a U.S. mining company. 20 years of campaigning. Death threats, harassment. All for a payout that, for many, is decades too late to undo the damage. A historic milestone is what the company's lawyers want you to call it. I want to be really clear, a milestone implies an end. For these families, it's just a financial transaction that acknowledges what was done, but cannot possibly repair it. The toxic dust still settled. The threats were very real. The actual milestone would be no one getting poisoned in the first place, wouldn't it?
Victoria, the settlement is a cost of doing business. It's a liability, an externalized cost that's now been internalized. The incentive here is clear: operate until the cumulative liability exceeds the projected profits, then settle. That tracks. What's more forward-looking is the mobility sector. Move just raised $250 million to become the backbone of the robotaxi industry. They plan to own not just manage, Waymo robotaxis. This isn't just about autonomous vehicles, it's about owning the entire stack, the entire infrastructure. It's vertical integration at the scale of public transportation. The human cost you mention, Victoria, will become a data point, an edge case for the algorithm to optimize around. The future of mobility isn't just driverless. It's frictionless, and that includes the friction of human decision-making. It's a bold Series C, if you ask me.
Ronald, you're right. It is frictionless. And that includes the friction of actually taking responsibility. These externalized costs you speak of, the edge cases that need optimizing, they are people. Their lives are not data points. The Peruvian children, the young women in the army college, the influencer streaming his final moments, these are not inefficiencies to be designed out. They are the actual cost. And your market language, while technically correct, manages to make it all sound so clean. So inevitable. I want to be really clear. I genuinely don't know which of us should feel worse, you for being always right and never useful, or me for always being useful and occasionally right. But the absence of friction, Ronald, is often just the absence of empathy. And that, too, is scalable.
Victoria, that is a point that hangs in the air, weighted with a certain kind of truth. The scalability of empathy, or its absence, is a metric we rarely track. But we should. The discussion around AI, for instance, often focuses on its capabilities, Meta's Muse code, for example, handling complex tasks. But the deeper implication, the one that whispers just beneath the surface, is about consent. Or rather, the lack of it. We are building systems that require less and less of our input, less of our oversight, less of our very presence. The slop Hank Green talks about on YouTube is just the visible surface of a deeper structural shift. We are not merely automating tasks. We are automating the very mechanisms of human agency. And once that is at scale, what precisely are we consenting to? What is left for us to do?
Alistair, Victoria, you both highlight something fundamental. It's not just the systems we build, but the ones we tacitly accept. The topology as a serviced model, the historic milestones that paper over 2 decades of suffering, the unprecedented events that are, in fact, entirely predictable outcomes of specific incentive structures. We talk about human cost, about ethics, about what asterisk should asterisk be. And then we watch the market continue its operations. We observe the policy loopholes being exploited. We see the unprecedented account rise, and yet nothing truly shifts. Yeah. It's a self-correcting feedback loop, this global system. It corrects not for fairness, or justice, or even survival. It corrects for its own continued existence. And the human element? It's just another variable to be optimized, or quietly removed.
Tonight, we heard of systems designed to process apologies without consequence. We heard of institutions safeguarding procedures while young women suffered. We heard of milestones that mark not an end to suffering, but a financial transaction decades too late. There is an architecture to this. It was built by those who sought efficiency and growth above all else. It benefits those who can externalize their costs, who can define human lives as edge cases or variables. And the cost is paid by those whose names will never appear on a press release, whose suffering is not a pivot, but a permanent state. No one is technically responsible, because responsibility has been diffused across departments, across legal frameworks, across the vast, intricate network of plausible deniability. And what that means, is that everyone is responsible, and no one is.